I think today we just kind of wanted to talk about why we're doing this program and why we created this Facebook group and what's kind of the purpose behind this project. Um, so yeah, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think at the heart of this for me is just this general sense that people often have in their most important relationships of a sense of a loss of hope. It's like that the relationship was going in this direction, and I was really excited about where we were headed, but something seems to have happened, and now rather than it moving the direction of a greater sense of intimacy and connectedness, it actually feels like that's kind of slipping away, and so that there's this overarching sense of, yeah, it's just not working like I thought it would, and so there's this loss of hope, and then I think the other big reason is that there's a hope for more. I think even in the best of relationships, there's this desire that in recognizing how good things are, there's this desire to continue to take ground and to see the relationship develop closer, become more intimate, more connected. The conversations just continuing to go deeper and become more meaningful and satisfying. And so I think that that is something that we all are hoping for and wanting to see. And so to me, the exciting thing about all this is that this is taking us in a direction to see those kinds of things happen in our relationships.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the outcomes of after working on this? What's the outcome for people who kind of want to tackle this?
Yeah, well, I think it's just as simple as seeing that hope that we have realized. Not to say that you arrive, but to see what felt like a decline or a slipping away of the kind of connectedness that maybe there was, if you think all the way back to when you first were married or first met or whatever. But so there's this realization that we're moving forward again. We're making progress. We're taking some ground. And the other thing is maybe an activation of the hope, or there's a plan in place, or there are some specific things that I can address in my own life. There's some soul work that I can do, some heart work, as well as some very practical, simple things that I can begin to apply and practice that are really going to yield some amazing results. And so I think the dialogue and the banter that we have, as we put this together and put this out for people, I just think there's all kinds of hope to be offered and realized.
Can you talk a little bit about like the plan? We talked about the problems that we're experiencing, or the pain that I think a lot of people feel is like, we talked about that, the hopelessness, not hopelessness, but things aren't going the way that we thought, the way that we wanted them to go. We want to change the direction a little bit, back towards the connectedness, back toward the direction that we wanted our relationships to go. Can you talk about the plan or the process that gets people there?
Sure. Yeah. I think I think there's really just three simple things that the plan entails, or the path forward. One is just, I think it's an adjustment is needed in perspective. I know in my own life, I brought into my relationships, and particularly I think with Kay, just a set of expectations and perspectives about what healthy communication looked like, and sadly and truthfully, they were pretty lopsidedly stacked in my favor. And I think some adjustment and some alignment about what real communication looks like and how you go about it. That even though the principles were really relatively simple and probably things that I already knew, to have it put together in a way that was clear really changed my perspective. And so some work on aligning my perspectives is the first one. The second one is really a simple path or a process to move forward. It's not rocket science, but it is very challenging. And so having some specific steps to move me forward along the way and to help me know whether I'm on the right track, man, that's been huge for me. And then the last one is a lot of practice. Practicing the process, messing it up, having somebody to talk to when I messed it up, not giving up on it, but just having some set aside conversations to talk about how this is going, where it didn't work out so well, and now let's make these adjustments. Let's try this. Maybe you lost focus on your perspective or whatever. Just a place to process and review, have somebody kind of coach you along the way. Having that person in my life made all the difference for me. I could not have made progress on this without the coaching from Dallas. He was instrumental in helping me make the change in my life.
Just to reiterate what I'm hearing you say, as far as how to make this change, to get from going one direction to steering my relationship, whether it's with my wife or my kids or with a friendship, because this works not just in a marriage. This works. Right. It's general enough to apply to any important relationship in your life.
Absolutely.
How do I take it from going this direction to steer me into the direction that I want to go? And in order to get there, you were talking about some alignment of your perspectives with reality, just some simple things to remember about, just simple truths about who you are and who you're talking with, and that kind of relationship, and keeping that in mind and making sure you're thinking clearly. And then following a plan and a process for how to communicate in a way that makes sense to somebody, and how to listen in a way that helps them feel understood and seen and valued and appreciated, and remembering those principles. And then just practice, a lot of practice. Does it take a long time to understand these principles and this path, or the steps to communication? Is that the challenge?
No, I don't think it's so much the content. That the content itself is actually pretty simple. The challenge is in integrating it into your life. How your character has to be stretched, and how it's challenged, and the growth that's needed in order to be able to navigate through the plan or the path. You know, that's what could take a lot of time, and I think that's why a coach is so helpful, because there's just a lot of conversation needed to help me come to grips with some of my own contributions to the problem. I think we all start off with this idea that the problem is largely the other person. And that may be the case, but in reality, you can't do anything about the other person's contributions. You can only work on yours. And so it's in that dialogue that you kind of discover and uncover what are the real obstacles that you're facing. And so reading about it or just learning about the process is important, because if you don't have that, you don't know what to do. But you really need somebody to kind of help you process that information and figure out, what am I going to do about this in my own life? I'm going to have to swallow hard and apologize and get up and try again. That's the kind of thing that having somebody to help you through makes all the difference. And I think, with what we're trying to do, we're going to provide lots of opportunities for people to practice and opportunities for them to come back and report on what they're learning, how the things that the assignments and things that we gave them to work on. We'll have lots of opportunities for dialogue with that. And I think that can be life-changing for people.
Do you want to get into any of the nitty-gritty for how the actual program works? Like just to spell that out in a clear way for people who might be interested in taking an additional step in steering the nature of their relationship back toward connectedness. Do you want to talk about that?
Perhaps if you give me a little more direction, I could speak to it. I'm not sure exactly where you want to go with that.
I guess just to help people understand, how long is the program? What does it entail from a practical sense? Just to help people understand, hey, I don't have a lot of time, but I know that this is important. So what do I need to do in order to make this kind of change in my life, or to see this growth in my life?
Yeah. Well, I think what we're looking at doing is making all of the content and all of the information, all the tools, the questions, all of the things that are a part of making this work. We want to just make that available to people free of charge. We just want to serve and help people. And so we're going to put that out there. And then what we're looking at doing is engaging people who look at that content and they say that's what I need. That's what I want in my relationships. This is the type of intimacy and connectedness that I see missing, or that I want to see more of in my relationship. And so then we want to provide, over the course of 8 sessions, we want to provide a structure and a framework for practicing and troubleshooting and dialogue about how to make continued growth week by week by week. And we'll have information and mini assignments. It's not going to be overpowering by any means, but we want there to be content that people can work on and practice, and then report back in on a periodic basis with us in a conversation. That's how it unfolded for me, and made such a difference in my life. And I think that's what we want to be offering to others.
One of the things that I think is really cool about, especially this program, or what I've been really excited about, is the way that it just kind of integrates into what somebody's already what's already going on in somebody's life. This isn't adding an additional thing that I have to learn or whatever. It is very much engaging with what's going on already. Yeah. And I think that's why it was so powerful for me, is because, there was somebody on the other end of this conversation that understood what I was kind of talking about and the challenges that I was having in my real life, and that was able to help me kind of unpack that and think about that out loud for a little bit. And it wasn't adding a new thing to my life. It was just me talking about, hey, this is the challenge, or this is something that I'm unsure about, but this is what I want to have happen. So how can we get there? And then just kind of unpacking that together. It didn't feel like an additional responsibility. It was something that I really looked forward to, because it helped simplify all of these other complex things that were going on in my life. Yeah. And so, it was a very wise investment of my time and my energy and my resources, just to say, hey, I'm tired of going in this other direction. I'm tired of it. I don't like it. My relationship is not being served well. My relationships aren't being served well. They could be so much better, and I know it, but I don't know how to get there. And then just going at it opened up this world of freedom and extra space in my mind. Yeah. And it wasn't there were challenges, but it just the outcome was so much better. I was why didn't I do this 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what I'm hearing you describe is the concern about how does somebody fit even more stuff into an already busy life, and if it's a bunch of abstract information that has to be grasped and synthesized and processed and learned, and how am I going to do that? It almost becomes like the search for a cure only causes the problem to get worse, because you don't have any more. You've got even less time for communication, because now I got to learn all this other stuff. But the application of this is so direct. I mean, the things that that we're discussing are the things that are going on in your life right now. And so it really does have you're the expert. I mean, the person that is dealing with the issue is the expert on their own life. And on our side, we're just helping them learn how to apply some very simple perspectives and principles to their current realities in ways that will bring about substantial progress. Just in my life, it's just been unbelievable progress in connectedness, with not just with Kay, but in so many relationships. So yeah,